Hi everybody, this is Leaford. Do you dance? I'm not a good dancer, and I usually feel too embarrassed to dance in public. But sometimes I hear the music and it carries me along, and I have to dance just to keep up with it. I am proud, happy, and excited to announce that this last week I have joined the Vapor4Life team as Steve's new Vice President of Product Development. This arose out of my growing friendship with, respect for, and trust of Steve, the President of Vapor4Life. Out of how well I like the product, and yet how much room for improvement I still see in it. And most of all, from my own experience working with Steve on developing the Leaford lanyard. Gratuitous self-promotion. Steve and I first got to know each other on the electronic cigarette forum, and this was before he started Vapor4Life. He approached me as a fan. He credited me with introducing him to e-cigarettes and thanked me for helping him quit smoking after decades of trying. When he got into the retail side of it and started Vapor4Life, he often sent me samples for my opinion and never asked for a review. He just wanted to know if I liked it. He also often asked me to come to work for him, not in promotions or sales. I had already been turning down numerous other offers like that from other people ever since I got started. But he wanted me to help him on the production side, help him make his product better. He wants it to be the best. Now, all those other offers that I turned down all also started out saying that they didn't want me to use a shill, but sooner or later they would get around to, well, you need to think about what you will be willing to do to promote us. I was never interested in anything like that. It was never a temptation. And at that point, I didn't know Steve well enough. I turned him down repeatedly. But that was okay with him. He didn't disappear like all the other users did when they suddenly realized that I wouldn't be used. He still sought me out. He still sought my opinion. He still valued my input. He stayed in touch with me on a personal level even when I withdrew into depression, and that meant a lot. And he still never asked for a review. The only thing he ever asked me for was for me to feel better and for the old Leaford to come back to the boards. So over time I came to trust him, I came to respect him, and consider him a friend. But working with him on the Leaford lanyard was the real tipping point. The point where he proved himself to me just as much as I was trying to prove my capabilities to him. At that point, I was ready to come on board. The rest of it was just a matter of time and of details. Meanwhile, going back to the second factor in my decision, the product, the Vapor King, had gone through its ups and downs. The very first batch he received and sent me samples of was truly outstanding. And if the manufacturer had kept up that same level of quality, it could easily have become my #1 favorite on all of my subsequent top 5 favorite lists. It had great batteries with excellent switch performance, nice smooth airflow, and being as long as a pen style, as a normal pen style battery, they were at the time the longest lasting disposable cartomizer style batteries on the market, and at a bargain price compared to everything else on the market. And the cartomizer performance was superb too. It had nearly as much vapor as the E9 or long totem V9 type. Say 6 points out of, 6 on a scale of 1 to 5, as opposed to the E9 7 on a scale of 1 to 5, just a bit shy. But it packed more flavor than the E9 had into that vapor, and more throat kick, which, once again, not my thing, but I know most of you out there want. All in all, it started out absolutely fantastically. Wonderful flavors that would just seem to burst into your mouth for the first few puffs. Unfortunately, he sold out of those fairly quickly, suffered some manufacturing and customs delays, and when he finally did get the next batch of product in, it just wasn't the same. The batteries were still excellent for the most part, but the airflow wasn't quite as smooth. The cartomizers didn't produce as much vapor anymore, and in fact, some of the flavors are downright wimpy. Many of them have to go through a lot, sometimes a couple of dozen or more puffs until you really start to get much vapor out of them. A long breaking in period. And while the throat kick was the same, the flavors weren't quite as strong, and they'd lost that sudden burst of flavor. Now, since then, Steve has been working hard with the manufacturers, and there have been small but steady improvements, more options in the batteries, stronger flavors, again. But the vapor flow, the vapor level and the airflow have still stayed the same. Now, that sounds like a harsh evaluation, but I don't see that as the final judgment on the Vapor King. I see it as my starting point. From this point on, fixing all of that is my job, my challenge. My first job is to get back to the quality of that first batch, and my second job is to do better than that. And the final factor in my decision to join Vapor4Life, which I've already mentioned was also the tipping point in my personal relationship with Steve, was the experience of developing the Leaford lanyard. When Steve first approached me with the idea of carrying the lanyard that my friend Nui had made for me, I initially was just basically brokering the deal. I was helping my friend Nui get some work, and I was helping my friend Steve stock a simple, basic accessory. But then Steve went off program and decided to call it the Leaford lanyard. And suddenly things changed for me. Just in my own use, while it's a great piece of craftsmanship and perfectly adequate at its basic job, holding an e-cigarette, I had already found things that I wanted Nui to change for me the next time I went to Thailand. Like giving it better access to manual buttons so I wasn't trying to find them through the leather. Like letting me see the LED so I didn't have to pull it out if I wanted to make sure the battery still had power. Like giving it a bit better airflow. And it was too long. So if my name was going to be on it, I didn't want to give you guys anything less than what I wanted for myself. And I told Steve that's what I wanted, and that the only way to do that, and to do it right without weeks of delay in shipping prototypes and battery samples back and forth, was for me to go there and work with him and get the product that we wanted. And Steve said, whatever it takes. Okay, I admit,